Hey, welcome to my show. This is Tommy. This is the Raw report from last night. And here's some brief news as always. Report from Raw that Vince McMahon has not been in good mood today. This led to Raw writer Brian Gewirtz being removed from his job after more than 10 years. Gewirtz is still working as a consultant though, so he has not been fully released from WWE. Vince reportedly told the producers he wants results or resignations. Everyone is said to be scared for their jobs. We hope to have more soon. WWE Intercontinental Champion The Miz had a birthday. He turned 32 years old yesterday. He was born October the 8th, 1980. This wasn't Miz's most notable year in the ring, but he did add a WWE main event color commentator and the Marine 3 leading man role into his long list of WWE accomplishments this year. Former WWE champion Dave Batista won his MMA debut by defeating Vince Lucero in the main event of the CES event on Saturday in Providence, Rhode Island. Batista won the fight via referee stoppage at 4 minutes and 5 seconds of the first round. Lucero came out throwing right-hand punches and backed Batista into the cage. Batista took a few solid punches before eventually taking Lucero to the ground. Batista then caught Lucero with punches to the side of the head until the referee stepped in. Batista noted that he wanted to fight again. Lucero was a sloppy-looking 300 pounds. Complaining that some of Batista's punches had landed on the back of his head. They jawed a bit afterwards before they eventually hugged. Former WWE wrestler MVP was also at the show supporting Batista. WWE wrestler Kurt Hawkins announced on Twitter this week that he underwent surgery to repair a torn PCL and meniscus. He's quoted by saying, "Not sure of when my return will be, but I can promise it will be a whole new look and attitude from Kurt Hawkins this time around," unquote. Follow him on Twitter at twitter.com/Doug Kurt Hawkins. Hawkins had some tough luck lately. His tag partner Tyler Rex opted to leave the company just as it appeared that the duo were on the verge of getting a push. Of course, the knee injury would have derailed that anyway if it occurred while they were teaming. I hope Hawkins gets a better opportunity once he returns with his new look, and as he's been wasted as far as his on-air role is concerned. Also, for other wrestlers indicated on Twitter that he underwent surgery to have his gallbladder removed. Who needs a gallbladder anyway, he wrote. And he's quoting by saying, "As much as I miss it at times when on the road, these 4 weeks have gotten me anxious," unquote. And that WWE personality is none other than Hornswoggle, a.k.a. real name, Dylan Postel. The late Art Barr was born on this date, 1986. Barr died in November 23rd, 1994, due to what was eventually ruled unknown circumstances. He did have alcohol and drugs in his bloodstream. Diva Caitlin, a.k.a. Celeste Bonin, turned 26 years old on this past Sunday. She was born October 7th, 1986. For those that don't remember, my birthday was last Monday, and I didn't even get a happy birthday from my wife. Go figure. And then later on Wednesday, she filed for divorce. Surprise to me. Well, she'll get hers coming. TNA President Dixie Carter turned 48 on Saturday. She was born October 6, 1964. WWE legend Bruno Sammartino celebrated his 76th birthday on Saturday. He was born October 6, 1935. Sammartino is not in the WWE Hall of Fame. He has rejected the company's invitation on numerous occasions. Barry Darsow, formerly known as Smash on the Demolition Team, also the Repo Man with other characters, He was born October 6, 1959. Darsow was better known as Demolition Smash, Crusher Khrushchev, Repo Man, and Blacktop Bully. His son, Dakota, has made multiple appearances for TNA this year. The following matches are listed for the 8:30 p.m. Central airing time of the AWA on ESPN Classic, which I looked for it and I didn't see it on there. Colonel De Beers versus Todd Becker. Brad Renegans versus Paul Diamond. And Mr. Hughes versus Texas Hangman. And Russian Brute. Okay. Paul Diamond and Mr. Hughes versus Texas Hangman and Russian Brute. DJ Peterson versus Frankie DeFalco. Larry the Living Zbyszko versus Nikita Koloff was supposedly in action. The Classic UWF showed on ESPN Classic at 9:30 p.m. Central Time with Jimmy the Boogie Woogie Man Valiant versus Viper 2. Featured on the 30-minute show. Yeah, it was airing at the same time Raw aired. After losing the primetime players in WWE Tag Team Championship #1 Contenders Tournament last Friday on SmackDown, Kofi Kingston and R-Truth are no longer a tag team partner. They have parted ways. And the duo announced it in a video posted on WWE.com. And you can go to WWE.com and find that out and watch it. They said they have accomplished everything they wanted to do as a tag team and want to continue on with their careers as single competitors. But with R-Truth, from his appearance on Raw, maybe having another tag team partner with Brodus Clay as he came to his rescue. And came out to do a little dance segment. The official WWE website has published a video and photos of last Thursday's premiere of CM Punk, Best of the World at Chicago's Portage Theater. The DVD and Blu-ray, which documents Punk's rise to the top of WWE, is officially out Tuesday, 1 of March, as Eddie Guerrero's 45th birthday. He was found dead on November 13, 2005, as a result of acute heart failure due to arteriosclerotic cardiovascular disease. Vicky Guerrero, the widow of Eddie, is remembering him on his birthday. She tweeted, October 9th, Tuesday, is Eddie's birthday. That's this morning when I'm doing this video. I will always love you with all my heart. Well, at least he gets something from his former wife. I don't get diddly squat from mine current wife. So it goes to show you how much she really cares. Vicky Guerrero, okay. Also celebrating birthdays this past Friday is former WWE superstar Stevie Richards, who turned 41 years old. Also, former WWE star Paul Burchill turned 33. Cody Rhodes suffered a black eye during his tag match with Damon Sandow against Sin Cara and Rey Mysterio at I believe SmackDown Live event in Reno, Nevada. Sandow commented on Twitter by saying, Mr. Sandow is outraged. Mr. Rhodes was struck in the face, causing his complexion to be altered. Sincerely, Ignatius. And then he's got hashtag outrage, unquote. After working weekend live events and the dark match at last night's Raw, WWE developmental talent Xavier Woods will be working tonight's SmackDown tapings, likely in another dark match, as he defeated Michael McGillicuddy on Raw dark match. Injured WWE superstar Ezekiel Jackson has returned to the United States after a trip to his home country of Guyana. Ezekiel said he had an awesome revelation after returning home, but did not specify. Just told fans to stay tuned. Zeke also said he's back working out again. Wonder if he's going to have some more videos posted. First workout in 2 months. I feel great. Patience. Zeke, be patient. This is just the beginning, cause you ain't seen nothing yet. Unquote. Joe Gomez was at the Raw show and commented on the entire dark matches and results of after Raw went off the air. And during the segment that was off screen, partially could have been on screen whenever CM Punk was running through the crowd and what have you. Well, he comments and says Xavier Woods. For those that know, Xavier Woods is former TNA talent, Consequences Creed. Well, he defeated Michael McGillicuddy in the only match held prior to the Raw. And after Raw, they said that Sheamus defeated CM Punk by disqualification. It was a quick 2-minute match. Punk was intentionally disqualified after a low blow. And then for Raw, Michael Cole welcomes the viewers to Monday Night Raw as John Cena made his entrance. Cole was joined in commentary by JR and JBL, as advertised last week. Cena asked the fans if they missed him. He said he missed them too. It was kind of a dead crowd the whole entire night. He said 1 week fell off like a year. It felt like a year. Cena made goat sounds while talking about Daniel Bryan and Kane. Cena continued to joke as he said U.S. champion Antonio Cesaro has big nipples. Cena said he'd like to take AJ out on a date and suggested In-N-Out Burger. Must be a local joint. He worked up the crowd and said that as loud as they are, they don't have a voice either. He said that the voice of the voiceless is now the voice of the selfish. Most fans booed and some chanted Punk's name. Cena said the choice of Hell in a Cell match belongs to Punk. He said it doesn't matter if you're the best in the world and people don't want to watch. He spoke about big moments and said that he believes Punk versus Cena in a Hell in a Cell will be one of those moments. Cena said he does not know if Punk can be swayed, but he hopes the fans let them know that they feel Cena said Punk could comment his legacy by facing him at Hell in a Cell. As Cena was leaving the ring, Ryback's music played. Cole said Ryback calls himself the Big Hungry. Ryback headed to the ring for a match. Cole said he felt bad for Ross because of Punk ruining his appreciation night. Then highlights aired of Ryback coming to Ross's rescue. Hey, Heather. Shh. The usual mixed bag from Cena. Please tell me that Cesaro's nipples don't become a topic of conversation with WWE wrestlers and announcers. Cena's sense of humor rarely meshes with my own. He was as good as when he got down to business while talking about Punk. Match number 1, Ryback versus Primo and Epico in a squash match, handicap match. Ryback finished off both men with his finisher and pinned them both. Ryback defeated Primo in 2 minutes 35 seconds. JBL did a good job of trying to make Primo and Epico sound like quality opponents. I'm sure it had more to do with making Ryback's win seem more impressive than helping the tag team save. But it was a nice touch either way. Can't say that Big Hungry name jumps out at me. But the live crowd was really into Ryback and chanted "Feed me more" as loud as the crowd could possibly has done thus far. And had aired for the Big Show versus Randy Orton match that headlines Wednesday's main event television show. Brodus Clay made his entrance with Cameron and Naomi for his match against R-Truth. Whatever. However, Truth said that they could fight any time. He said little Jimmy wanted to dance. Truth asked if the girls would dance with Jimmy. They obliged. Brodus joined in, and Truth joined in the dance. Well, the match didn't even happen because Vince McMahon interrupted on the big screen. He said he wanted Brodus and the gang to dance up the ramp because it was time for the State of the Union WWE address. Vince called for Clay's music to play. Brodus and company danced their way toward the back. As they go to commercial, Justin Roberts introduced Mr. McMahon, who did the BMF walk, while No Chance in Hell played. Vince said he just saw 2 grown men and 2 women dancing with an imaginary child. He said that's the state of WWE. He said that there's room for that. He said there's also room for leprechauns, goat-faced vegans, Big red monsters, masked luchadors, and giants. Yep, the old Jack and the Beanstalk story tale. Old Mother Hubbard. Type of crap. So let me do a comment on who that what's the face? Vince or whatever. Old Mother Hubbard went to a cupboard to give her dog a bone. Rover took over and gave her a bone of her own. Okay. Vince said that the most important thing that they have in WWE is action. Vince said the fans want to see the best against the best. CM Punk's music interrupts Mr. McMahon. Punk wearing a new yellow t-shirt headed to the ring with Paul Heyman. Vince said he was disrespecting him by interrupting the state of the WWE address. Punk said Vince disrespected him by not mentioning his name. Punk noted to ironic fans that who like to chant his name that he said if he needed any crap out of them, he would scrape their tongues. Punk asked Vince if he respected him. Vince said he respects that Punk has been champion for 323 days. However, he said he doesn't respect that Punk says he's a Paul Heyman kind of guy. Vince said that in all honesty, he's not a CM Punk guy. Punk said Vince should be holding a CM Punk appreciation night. Punk said he'll quit WWE and blow Vince a kiss like he did last year. We'll see what he does to your state of WWE, Punk said. Vince asked if Punk was saying that he's indispensable. Punk questioned who Vince thinks makes the WWSS. Vince says it's not him, it's not Punk, it's the WWE universe. And he said he listens to the fans on the street, and when they tweet and when they tout, he said they are all saying that somebody needs to shut Punk's mouth. Vince said Punk is nowhere near the greats like Andre the Giant, Shawn Michaels, Triple H, Bret Hart, or Stone Cold Steve Austin. And then Punk interrupted again as he laughed and said he's nothing like Stone Cold. Punk said he had made it to the top through hard work and never backing down from a challenge. Punk said Austin took shortcuts. He said that the thing that got Austin to the top was beating up a clueless, inept millionaire. Punk said it's a good thing that he did it. He did it back then because the millionaire is more clueless, more inept, and is now a senior citizen. Punk said it's a slap in the face for Vince to come out and treat him the way he does. You've been slapping me in the face for years, Punk said. Punk then slapped Vince across the face and then left the ring with a concerned Heyman. Vince said he should fire Punk, but that's too good for him. Vince said he will fire Punk if he doesn't fight in the ring tonight. Punk revealed in the thought that while Heyman asked him not to do it, Vince said that by the time the night is over, Punk will learn something about respect. Heyman said it went the wrong way. Punk said that they have Vince right where they want him. Trust me, a smiling Punk said. Everything is going to be fine. Commercial break. When ratings are down, bring back Vince McMahon. When panic really kicks in, put Vince back in the ring. This formula can only be a help. The live crowd loved it, and we're buzzing about the match and heading into the break. Another strong promo with memorable quotes from Punk. Heyman was great in expressing shock over Punk slapping Vince and then begging Punk not to face Punk. After the break, a recap of the Vince and Punk segment aired. Coleslaw and Ross were tense at ringside, but JBL was all smiles. He said that Christmas has come early because Punk versus Vince McMahon match. Ross said Vince made an emotional decision and he has a bad feeling about this one. Coleslaw noted that Arnold Schwarzenegger is the social media ambassador for tonight. By the way, will we ever find out what Vince was going to say? Or was it all just filler and set up for the angle with Punk? And by the way, there was no AJ mentioned tonight. other than when Cena was mentioning it later in the show, or earlier in the show.
Oh boy.
Match number, segment number 2, Mysterio and Sakara. Match number 2, Rey Mysterio and Sakara versus Primetime Players in a semifinal tournament match. Cole Hall noted that the other semifinal match would take place later in the show. Mysterio and Sakara jumped out to a fast start and show the program cut to an early commercial break. After the break, Sakara was sold for Titus O'Neil. Mysterio took the hot tag and got the better of Darren Young. Mysterio eventually put Young away with a top rope splash. The announcers noted that the finals of the tournament will air on next week. Mysterio and Sakara defeated Primetime Players in 7 minutes 25 seconds, the longest match of the night, to advance in the tournament finals. Backstage segment with Paul Heyman saying that Punk proves every night that he's the best in the world, but this is a must-lose situation. Punk said he's going to step on Vince's throat, put him on the mat, and annihilate him. Then what? Heyman asked. He said then he and Punk will have an angry lunatic spending every day trying to find ways to make their lives miserable. Punk said he's going to find a way to win and told Heyman he has nothing to worry about. JR hyped Sheamus versus Wade Barrett for after the break. Well, during this match, I took a break and started washing dishes. I can't say enough about what Heyman brings to the Punk act. He's not just a cheerleader manager. He counters Punk at times like these and shows concern whenever he takes things too far. Meanwhile, the tag tournament is playing out as expected, with the teams that consist of 2 singles wrestlers eliminated all the actual tag teams. I hope they don't do anything to damage Barrett in this match against Sheamus. I'm surprised to see that one thrown out so casually. Then they recapping of John Cena's promo and of CM Punk slapping Vince McMahon. If you don't know that CM Punk was out last week due to having elbow surgery and he still can't move his arm, as he was stating and tweeting and what have you. He also was on the talk show yesterday morning, and he said that he still couldn't move his arm. It's been 3 weeks since that. So you got Sheamus versus Wade Barrett non-title match. During the ring introduction, the announcers hyped Punk versus McMahon for viewers who tuned in at the top of the hour. So this is going into the second hour. The announcers gave a shout out to Jerry the King Lawler. Shortly after Sheamus and Barrett locked up, Big Show's music played and he headed to the ring. Barrett Punk Sheamus, one show arrived at ringside. Barrett had control of the offense heading into the commercial break. Roughly 5 minutes into the break. After the break, Sheamus mounted a comeback and cleared Barrett from the ring. The wrestlers went back and forth on offense, and JBL raved about Barrett's physicality. Sheamus got the better of Barrett and hit him with the 10 forearm shots to the chest, while the crowd counted along. Tensai ran in for the apparent disqualification. Barrett and Tensai roughed up Sheamus, while Show was misled. Tensai went for a move, but Barrett held on. And Sheamus broke free and Bro kicked Tensai. Big Show entered the ring after Sheamus cleared Barrett to ringside. Sheamus went for the Bro kick, but Show caught his leg and then shoved him back towards over the top. Sheamus landed hard on the ground and appeared to slam his head on the mat. Sheamus got back to his feet, stood in the ring while Show walked backstage. And the longest match of the night that I missed while washing dishes, Sheamus defeated Wade Barrett in 12 minutes 35 seconds. The announcers hyped Punk versus McMahon and Team Hell No versus Dolph Ziggler and Alberto Del Rio. JBL said it's like watching Babe Ruth take one more at bat. Ross expressed concern over Vince's age. Ross said he was going to talk to Vince. Ross said he was walking up was walking up the ramp to talk to Vince as they go to commercial. I love when WWE panics. The show has been really good so far. JBL is awesome commentary. He did an excellent job of building up Barrett's physicality. And it's just nice to hear a heel commentary. Tater, instead of Michael Coleslaw. Perspective again. I doubt they are going in this direction, but they could do worse than a heel trio consisting of Show, Barrett, and Sensei. Coleslaw hyped a special edition of Larry King live, now with The Miz as special guest for later in the show. And I believe this was on stage. Backstage, AJ was on the show. Backstage segment, AJ and Punk spoke inside her office. Punk asked AJ if AJ has given thought to him beating up an old man on her show. Punk said he's going to break his arm, his leg, and put him in a wheelchair. Punk said that the board of directors will probably look for someone to blame, and it's probably her. AJ said she knows Punk is too afraid to fight Cena, but she questioned whether he was afraid to face Mr. McMahon too. Punk said he's not, but said whatever happens is now on her head. Coleslaw and JBL spoke briefly at ringside again and set up a recap of John Cena's appearance on the Live with Kelly and Michael show. I believe that was a show that I've seen. Yeah, that was a show that was on yesterday. And John Cena was on another talk show this morning. Antonio Cesaro makes his entrance for his match. Footage aired of Cesaro at a fast food restaurant complaining about American obesity. Match number 4, Antonio Cesaro versus Tyson Kidd in a non-title match. Kidd got a flurry of offense and a 2 count, but he missed the springboard elbow, which set up the flying uppercut, and Cesaro finished him off with the neutralizer. And that match took 3 minutes 50 seconds out of our lives. It was nice to see Kidd get some offense. I wouldn't have thought much of his offense in most weeks, but it stood out this time because of how dominant Cesaro was in the squash win over Brodus Clay last week. I'll bet there's never been a pro wrestling match in history that has so many viewers staring so intently at the nipples of a male wrestler. Ring entrances for the tag match took place, and highlights aired from last week of Dolph Ziggler walking out on CM Punk during their match last week. And match number 5, Daniel Bryan and Kane versus Dolph Ziggler with Vicky Guerrero and Alberto Del Rio with Ricardo Railroad Rodriguez. In a non-title match, Kane and Daniel Bryan got the better of Ziggler during the first few minutes of the match. Coleslaw questioned whether Del Rio and Ziggler could get on the same page heading into the break. Well, JBL had some fun at Mil Mascaro's expense. He said Mil is the most egotistical, selfish human being who ever lived. He expressed thanks that Del Rio didn't get any of his uncle's bad tactics or bad traits. Coleslaw tried to defend Mil, but JBL wouldn't have any of it. An ad for SmackDown focused on a Big Show versus Sheamus and didn't even advertise any matches or anything in particular. Back in the ring, the heels spent several minutes isolating Bryan while Kane waited for the hot tag. There were several tag teases, but the heels held back repeatedly. At the top of the hour, going into the third hour, Kane took the hot tag from Bryan as Coleslaw reset the show on commentary. And Dolph scored a near fall on Kane. A short time later, Kane went for a double choke slam, but Dolph fought out of it and hit his finisher for a good near fall. Later, Bryan tagged back in and caught Dolph with a kick to the head, and then tagged in Kane. I got finished with my dishes at that time and caught the end of the match, who performed a choke slam and Ziggler for the win. After the match, Bryan and Kane did the usual I'm the tag team champions bickering, and also one of them was responsible for winning the match. And that match took 16 minutes. It was a surprise it took that long. Again, so that was the That is a new time to beat. 16 minutes for a regular match. Coleslaw and JBL spoke about the main event to set up a replay of Punk slapping Vince McMahon to set up the main event. Backstage, Vince told JR that he appreciated his concerns. He wanted to know what he was trying to tell him. Ross recalled after Raw went off the air, Vince called him an American icon and his friend. Ross said Vince had nothing to gain from facing Punk. To be honest with you, Vince, I can't help but remember what happened to the King after he fought CM Punk, Ross said. Vince said he recalls Ross calling Stone Cold's match. Vince asked him if he would call his match and replace the Stone Cold calls with McMahon. And Vince got pissy and demanded that Ross do it now. Ross immediately complied, but then told Vince he still thinks he is making a mistake. Vince said he would quote one of the greatest superstars of all time. It doesn't matter what you think, Vince said as they go to commercial. Playing on the Jerry Lawler heart attack? Are you kidding me? How sleazy, how desperate, disgusting. I thought earlier tonight about the possibility of a heart attack angle, but I dismissed it quickly and never wrote about it because I didn't think that they would go there. They may go with a heart attack angle, but I did misjudge how low Vince will go. Coleslaw and JBL spoke about 7 summits for kids as they did the segment on JBL's mountain climbing for Kilimanjaro from last week. That's why he wasn't on Raw. His next climb will be in Argentina to gain more money for the charities. And this will be in January. Another JR, that's Justin Roberts, introduced Larry King, who was seated at the table on the stage with a microphone. He then introduced his wife, Dawn, who was seated at his side. The Miz's music interrupted. King introducing him. Coleslaw said King and The Miz had a Twitter war last week. Miz noted that today is his birthday, and he thinks it's time for King and his wife to lead the crowd into singing happy birthday to him. King said he had it on good authority from his sources that nobody in the building cared that it was his birthday. King said he loves WWE. His wife said it's as big as it gets. Oh, good ad-lib, King said. King said he was replacing a boring guest with a good guest and introduces Kofi Kingston, who took a seat across from the King as he comes to the stage. Kingston said he's been doing media all day, and the good word is that Raw is live from Sacramento, which drew a cheap pop. Miz called him in on it and said he couldn't tell who was less relevant, a has-been talk show host or a never was superstar. Miz taunted King and about his divorces and said he would divorce his head from his little body. Wow, that was a little threat. Like, ooh, scary for Miz. King's wife stood up and threw a glass of water on the Miz to counter him thing. Kofi then attacked Miz and threw him off the stage. Kofi jumped onto Miz and then roughed him up as they headed backstage. The King and his leather pants wearing wife stood up and took a bow for no good reason. That sucked, and it leads into Miz versus Kingston singles match that doesn't involve R-Truth or Little Jimmy. Then it was totally worthwhile getting back into the McMahon and Ross segment. What was the point of having Vince bark orders to Ross? Aren't we supposed to see Vince as a babyface getting into whatever he's doing with Punk? Maybe not. I guess we'll find out later on. JR back on commentary. That's JR. That's like the guy from Dallas. That's good old JR, Jim Ross. The slobber knocker announcer. As the announcer spoke as footage from WWE 13 video game of Vince McMahon facing Mr. McMahon. Vince McMahon facing Mr. McMahon was shown. Match number 6, Santino Marella and Zack Ryder versus Cody Rhodes and Damien Sandow in a tag team semifinal match. Late in the match, Santino got the better of Cody. Cody pulled out Santino pulled out the Cobra, just as he normally does. Sandow distracted him. Cody hit the crossroads and scored the clean pin for his team. Wow, I didn't see half this match at all. Sandow did a cartwheel after the match. Rhodes Scholars will face Rey Mysterio and Sin Cara in the finals next week. Heck, I didn't even see Zack Ryder getting in the match at all. It was so fast. And the match only took 3 minutes 10 seconds to advance for next week's finals. After Rhodes Scholars left the ring, Drew McIntyre, Heath Slater, and Jinder Mahal hit the ring, put the boots to Santino Marella. Another beatdown. Backstage segment with Paul Heyman approaching Vince McMahon, who was dressed in his tank top. His black tank top, normal thing. Heyman said that he was there to apologize for Punk's actions and to say he didn't know Punk was going to slap him or challenge him to a fight. Heyman said he's the youngest guy in the WWE who was old enough to know his father. Heyman said he's known Vince for 14 years and begged him to allow him to broker the peace between Vince and Punk. Vince asked Heyman whether he knew when he was lying or telling the truth. Vince said he's been poisoning Punk's mind for years. Heyman said he's not there for Punk's sake, he's there for Vince's. Heyman told Vince not to make Punk do to him what Brock Lesnar did to his son-in-law, Triple H. Heyman left the room. A shot aired of a smiling Eve backstage as JR hyped that Caitlyn would be going after the Divas Championship next. A good time to mention of Brock Lesnar for the first time in a while. Vince played it not nicely by acting like that comment got to him. Match number 7, Eve versus Caitlyn in the normal 2 or 3 minute Divas match for the Divas Championship. Layla was on commentary for the match. Caitlyn got Eve in a torture rack, but Eve slipped out. Caitlyn performed a backbreaker and then sold her knee injury. Eve worked over her knee and eventually made her tap with a leg lock. Eve did not let go. So Layla entered the ring. Eve acted concerned for Caitlyn afterwards. Layla pushed her awkwardly and then Eve escapes the ring. 2 minutes 50 seconds official time for the match. Backstage segment, Josh Matthews popped out of nowhere and said he wanted to show Alberto Del Rio a tweet that involved him. Del Rio, who was with Ricardo Rodriguez, said he was busy. Matthews said that the tweet was sent by Randy Orton, who said he will be at SmackDown on Friday. Del Rio storms off. Commercial break. They did. Did they make 12 rounds in 2 weeks? Don't get me wrong, that's probably the appropriate amount of time for a sequel to a movie that bombed in theaters. But I'm surprised to see Orton back so soon. Justin Roberts asked the breast cancer survivors to stand up for a momentary recognition. Then they had the colon cancer survivors stand up and directed the crowd to throw rotten fruit at them. The last part actually didn't happen. Backstage segment, Daniel Bryan asked Larry the King and his wife if he remembered when David Letterman said that he looked like an owl. He asked them for advice and everyone calling him Goat Face. Kane showed up and bickered with Bryan. King and his wife split. And Bryan told Kane he scared off Larry King. And said he thought it was... He was asking, I thought it was Skeletor. Inside the locker room, Punk shadow box while Heyman fretted over what Vince McMahon was going to do to them. Light bulb went off for Heyman, who said, unless, of course, you deliver to Vince McMahon such a beating that you render him helpless and hopeless. A senile old bastard like that can never make another decision for the rest of his miserable life. Punk said he's going to victimize McMahon and enjoy every single second. Commercial break. This would have been such a hot show if this was a 2-hour show. They could have left most of the first hour out and simply inserted Punk versus McMahon at the end of the show. And I guarantee that you would have watched it, the full show, and you would have felt it was a stronger show than it will ever. After sitting through the full 3 hours, this hasn't been a bad 3-hour show though, but it's just too much of a marathon to put the average viewer through. Yeah, I know some of you can't get enough wrestling, but the ratings are proof that the move has been damaging. A recap aired of the Punk and Vince McMahon segment from earlier in the show. McMahon made his entrance wearing his usual attire and MMA gloves. CM Punk ran down and attacked Vince from behind. Punk beat up Vince at ringside and threw a series of punches and knees. JBL stated that that's what you have to do to a man like Vince. JBL stated that it's a fight, not a match at this point. Punk threw Vince inside the ring. Vince recovered and speared Punk. Vince threw a couple of punches at Punk, who quickly rolled him over and fired back. Vince rolled Punk over and fired a couple more shots. They got to their feet, and Punk caught Vince with a kick to the head. Punk walked over Vince and then acted as if he was kicking dirt on him. As the program goes over the 3-hour mark, Punk throws McMahon to ringside and then slams his head into the announcer's table. Punk grabs Cole's head, sets, and puts them on. What a maneuver, Punk yelled before taking another shot at Vince. Punk puts Vince into the GTS position and then jawed at the announcers. Vince slipped out and shoved Punk into the ring post. Vince threw Punk over the announcer table and Punk slid across the table and fell to the floor. Vince grabbed the mic and said, "Now I'm going to teach you something about respect." Vince then slid over the announcer table and slammed the mic into Punk's head a few times. Vince then pushed one of the announcers' chairs into Punk before throwing him back in the ring. Vince, who had a cut below his left eye, pulled a kendo stick out from underneath the ring. Vince took a swing, but Punk bailed to ringside. Colesaw noted that Heyman appeared to be in disbelief at ringside. Punk looked to the crowd and held up his arms. Punk yelled to Heyman to bring his championship belt to him. Vince left the ring and cut off Heyman. Vince slammed an awkward slap into Heyman's face. Vince brought the WWE Championship into the ring and set it down in front of him. He motioned for Punk to enter the ring while a small "This is awesome" chant broke out. Punk tried to enter the ring but ducked out when Vince took swings with the kendo stick. Then Punk got a kendo stick of his own and entered the ring. Vince struck Punk with a stick repeatedly. Punk dropped his stick and then begged off in the corner. The crowd popped big and the camera shook legitimately, or a helpful cameraman. Vince charged at Punk, who caught him with a low blow. Punk picked up both sticks and hit Vince with them. Punk picked up Vince with a GTS before he could hit the move. Ryback's music played, interrupting the match. Ryback headed to the ring and Punk squared off as he was ready for him. Once Ryback entered the ring, Punk slips out of the ring. John Cena came out and threw Punk back in the ring with his good arm. Ryback speared Punk, and the crowd popped huge, and the camera shook again. Ryback set up Punk for the Shell Shocker finisher, but Punk slipped out of the way and ran through the crowd. Vince took the mic and said he hopes Punk learned a little something about respect. Vince said it was decision time for Punk. He could either face Ryback or face John Cena in Hell in a Cell. He said if Punk doesn't make up his mind, he'll make it up for him. Punk looked anguished while clutching his title belt to his chest to close the show. Well, a wild main event that was highly entertaining. During the melee on this little segment, there was a fan that had hit Punk. Punk retaliated and hit a different fan, and that different fan has reported a assault from Punk. Back on the program, I'm sure what they'll be plenty bitching about the WWE Champion selling for a 65-year-old man. It worked for me in this case because Punk isn't cast as a monster heel who destroys his opponents. He's been more of a weasel. He can hang with the top wrestlers, but he cheats to win, or keeps it winning flaky ways, just like TNA. Former champion Bobby Roode, Night of Champions main event. He's not a monster like Brock Lesnar, and one beat down from a Vince McMahon isn't going to change the way the fans look at him. Also like the option that Vince gave Punk. I assume Punk will pick Cena because of his wounded elbow. That's a good way to make it seem like Punk is dodging Ryback without making it seem like Cena is inferior to Ryback overall. The show was still an hour too long, but they came out swinging after taking a pounding in the ratings due to last week's Raw. The Cowboy game. And it turned out to be an entertaining broadcast this week. Here's the interaction with CM Punk with a fan interaction. The incident with a fan at the end of Monday's Raw show. Part of it was shown on the air. And what wasn't shown was Vince McMahon's surprised look when Punk was hitting the fan. Punk went into the crowd after avoiding Ryback's finisher, as Vince McMahon was still addressing him. Punk backhanded a fan with a camera and then turned around and then shoved the same man. It was hard to tell whether Punk connected with the fan's face with the backhand shot or if he struck the camera. The fan did not appear to have any immediate remarks from the shots. He remained behind Punk, and as security intervened, the fan seemed to keep his control while talking with security as Punk turned his focus back to Vince McMahon, Ryback, and John Cena in the ring. And Joe Gomez commented again about after what went on that a fan had pushed Punk's head twice, which led to Punk retaliating. It's hard to say whether he struck the right fan, though as the fan shots were not shown during Raw, the cameras were cutting back and forth between Vince McMahon in the ring and Punk in the crowd at the time of the incident. And your dark match main event, after all went off the air, Sheamus faced CM Punk in a match. Sheamus got the victory after Punk grabbed the mic and said, "This is how you win," and then used it to low blow Sheamus. Sheamus hit the Brogue Kick afterwards. And that ends your video for this week. Peace out. God bless. Stay tuned for SmackDown later on tonight.